And then when you bet on a horse and it wins, or it does the race is going to unfold the way you think it's going to unfold, because there's many things that happen in a race. And you're right, it's just such a feeling of accomplishment because you figured out the puzzle, and you get rewarded because you get to cash your ticket, So it's the challenge, I guess, that keeps me around horse races.
Thanks for joining us on Louisiana's Playground Podcast, your roadmap to all things Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm Brady Raynard, and excited to debut, at long last, our new co-host here on Louisiana's Playground, Miss Jillian Corder of KPLC.
Hello.
Jillian is a well-seasoned broadcaster, over a decade of experience in the TV news industry, and she's going to bring that savvy professionalism to the microphone here on the podcast.
Somebody needs to.
Yes. She also happens to be my wife.
My wife.
My wife. How about that?
Yeah, I'm your wife. That's cool, huh? Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Brady. This is really new for me. I talk for a living is what I always tell people. I do it on TV, but this is the first time being behind a microphone in this sense. And yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a new adventure for me, for us.
Absolutely. And while I am a Louisiana native, I'm not from Southwest Louisiana, but Jillian is.
That's right. My family's originally from Texas, but I grew up in Southwest Louisiana and absolutely loved it. I loved growing up here and visiting Lake Charles. We were only about an hour away. So visiting Lake Charles, every weekend was always a great experience. And living here now and raising our family here, it is like a staycation in a way. So I absolutely love it. There's a new adventure every weekend, every turn. My day job, I'm a journalist here. I report and anchor the evening news, but I'm excited to start this new adventure on Louisiana's Playground Podcast, and excited to share all the stories and experiences here in Southwest Louisiana to all of our listeners so that you can build your perfect Lake Charles itinerary next time you come to town.
Nice segue, Jillian. Well, look, we've got a great show for your first episode 30 overall of the podcast. We're already over a full year. What an exciting journey so far. Don Stevens of Delta Downs, he's the racetrack announcer for horse racing. He's coming on, and boy, is he passionate about horse racing. A fun conversation as we dive into all of that. But before we get there, you should know the drill by now. It's time for a special segment. Jillian?
On VEs.
It's the part of the show where we go to a local restaurant, we sample the dishes, we give you the lowdown on the atmosphere, and just overall the enjoyment of going to another local establishment. This week we head to Delta Downs to pair with the racetrack episode, and we went to the Tin Lizard.
This place was great. So right when you walk into Delta Downs, it's a really open atmosphere. To the right, you've got all the games, right? The casino is set up over there, the FanDuel Sports Bar, all of that. To the left is the hotel down a corridor, and all of the restaurants that they've got there at Delta Downs. And the first one you get to is the Tin Lizard. And this was like a really bright spot in an otherwise kind of dark casino atmosphere. And it was really cool to walk into.
And like at Delta Downs, they're constantly reinventing themselves. And so they're not afraid to open new restaurants and do something new. And Tin Lizard is one of those. They've just been open for a little over a year. June of 2022 is when they officially opened. And it's really just a relaxing atmosphere with plenty of TVs, a huge bar in the middle. It's kind of an elevated sports bar feel. We've used that term before here on the podcast, and that is another place that kind of really fits there. You're comfortable whether you're into sports or not, but it's a very relaxing environment, but also with enough TVs and enough eyes there that you can find whatever game you're looking for if you're there during, a sports ball game.
A sports ball game, which we were. When we visited the Tin Lizard, we were there for Sunday, afternoon, night football. We were there for football, and it was great because they had them up on all the screens. The bar is, backlit behind all the bottles, so it's really pretty to look at. I'm one of those people that looks too closely at like light fixtures and things like that. So I loved everything though in the restaurant. It was amazing, but the food was
brought out by a robot busboy.
Yes. They have two robots. One is a server that has different trays on it, bringing out the food. The other one's a busser. You put your tray on it and takes it away back to the kitchen. So it's really cool. And they said that it gets really busy there sometimes, and they're just an extra set of hands, which is cool.
Or Wills.
Or wheels.
Well, you mentioned the food and what they'll be bringing out. They kind of have a spin on Louisiana favorites, things like boudin, egg rolls, crawfish queso dip. There's craft pizzas, burgers, sandwiches, steaks, and really, that kind of casual American style food that you kind of come to expect. And the portion sizes are all really, really good, which is something that I, as someone with a large appetite, focuses on. And their portion sizes were great in addition to what they were actually bringing out on the plates.
Yeah, generally when Brady and I go eat somewhere, Brady finishes his meal within, I don't know, 3.5 minutes. It's like that's the time
The
clock.
standard.
That's the standard. Meanwhile, I take my time eating and don't usually finish a meal, but this was so good there at Tin Lizard that I actually, cleaned my plate a bit. So
And we opened with an appetizer, the boudin egg rolls.
spicy boudin, pepper jack cheese, chipotle ranch all make up those boudin egg rolls, and they're absolutely delicious. They are spicy, though. Like a warning, they have some kick.
You were talking about how spicy they were a couple of minutes after eating it as well.
The first bite, I said,
Yeah.
oh, this is spicy. And then maybe 5 minutes later, my eyes were kind of watering a little bit. I said, oh, yeah, it's still spicy.
But they're crispy, man, and great boudin flavor. And I love, you take that bite and you kind of squeeze and you could see the cheese oozing out
yeah.
of the egg roll.
Cheese coming out of it, really crispy, not in like a overdone kind of way. It was just perfect. It was the perfect little fried boudin egg roll.
I love experimental egg rolls.
That is your thing.
Right? Like Southwest egg rolls, boudin egg roll, like jambalaya egg rolls we've had in town before too. I'm really into those.
Yeah. I'm really into anything that's deep fried, to be fair.
Touche.
Yeah.
What did you get?
I got the blackened chicken sandwich, which had blackened chicken, applewood smoked bacon, pepper jack cheese, and ranch on the side, along with a huge pile of French fries that came out with them. And they're those perfect French fries that are really crispy. They're coated in like cornstarch or flour and then fried, so they're really crispy on the outside. I determined while I was there that that's my favorite type of French fry.
Your favorite?
Yeah, we had this debate not long ago, and I thought it was waffle fries, but I've changed my mind. I may change my mind again tomorrow, but for right now,
Your favorite fry is the one in front of you.
my favorite French fries, my favorite type of potato is the one in front of me, pretty much. But yeah, the sandwich was delicious. It had 2 chicken breasts on it, which I wasn't expecting. So it was really large. I had to cut it several times to start eating it, but it was delicious. Cheese was perfectly melted. The ranch there is really good. I'm a big fan of ranch, but I am picky about it everywhere I go. And I wanted to ask what kind they use. I always try to ask people where their ranch comes from, and usually they don't give away their secrets. But it was really good there. Delicious.
Meanwhile, I got the Philly cheesesteak, or as people in Philly say, the cheesesteak, in celebration of the Eagles beating the Cowboys, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And look, the bread that it came on, it was fluffy, buttery. It has a kind of a light toast to it, so it had just a little, that little bit of perfect crunch that you're kind of looking for. One thing they did a little different that I appreciated, instead of the really thin slice that you typically expect on a cheesesteak, it was more chunk. It was kind of a chunk of steak on each. It's still very tender, but they were a little bit bigger, so it kind of grasped the cheese a little bit better. I kind of put some buffalo sauce on it. It obviously could come with peppers and onions as well.
I have to stop you.
As typical cheesesteaks do.
You kind of put some buffalo on it?
Yeah, just a little bit.
A little. Oh, okay. I thought I remember you drowning in buffalo, as you often do.
I am a hot sauce buffalo sauce fanatic.
How
And
did you
so
like their buffalo sauce?
I did.
though?
I thought it was a very good buffalo sauce that paired really well. The mozzarella cheese was great, and it was such a meaty, buttery, toasted sandwich. So good. And like you said, come with fries, and the fries were great. They were crunchy. They tasted great with both ketchup and the leftover buffalo sauce that I had there. So very, very good meal.
And speaking of buffalo sauce, they have wings there on the menu with several different options.
And wing specials during the week as well.
Yeah. So lots of different options on their menu there. Really good. All the food we ordered was perfect, delivered quickly as well. A great staff. We met, our waiter while we were there and the manager over there, and everybody was super friendly, as you will find here in Southwest Louisiana.
As far as other restaurants on the property, there's the Rosewater Grill and Tavern. We'll talk a little bit more about that in our interview. They serve steak, seafood, drinks, relaxed Louisiana flair. The best part of it, though, is the windows that run alongside the track. So while you're eating, you can see the horse racing. And in fact, that's when they're open, is while the horse racings are going on. And so they're a great place to eat if you're there during those times, as well as a 24 hours a day diner-style Gator Grill, as they call it. So a lot more relaxed kind of food. If you're up kind of late and the other restaurants are closed and you need a bite, the Gator Grill got you covered.
Yeah, it's right across from the casino, so super convenient. And they have kind of a grab and go situation there. But we had a great time at the Tin Lizard. Again, just a really fun atmosphere there, watching the game, getting a great meal. Absolutely loved it. We hope you try it and let us know what you think.
From a great meal to a great guest, we welcome on Don Stevens, Delta Downs' racetrack announcer. After attending his first live horse race at the age of 13, Stevens developed a lifelong passion for the sport of kings. In 2003, Stevens was given the opportunity to join Boyd Gaming at Delta Downs in Vinton. For the past 20 years, he's been a fixture there at the track in Southwest Louisiana. His exciting race calls and informative handicapping while hosting the track's nightly simulcast show have entertained fans and given them plenty of winning tickets to cash over the years. He now brings that info to the podcast. Welcome to the show, Don.
Oh, glad to be here. I love the view. This office is wonderful.
So Southwest Louisiana is known for our big city amenities and small town charm, which makes for a variety of experiences that one can add to their itinerary when they're here, from the types of food to outdoor adventures and national regional entertainment that the lake area draws. But before we get started, we ask each guest a few questions to let our listeners know you a little bit better and how you play in Louisiana's playground. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. The first question. Crawfish or gumbo?
When I moved here, I would have said gumbo, but now I like crawfish.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I've
what
switched.
happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I've had gumbo before in other parts. I've lived all over the country, but when I got here, everybody's like, people up north, crawfish, ooh, it's a bug, all that kind of stuff. Then I tried it and I kind of liked it. And then we started having crawfish boils, and I like spicy food, so I'm a crawfish guy now.
I actually don't eat crawfish.
See, you're one of those people.
I am one of those.
Yeah.
I am one of those people, which is really weird because I've grown
But
up
I love
here.
gumbo on a cold day, and
Mhm. But
not
I would
many of those around here, but
I'm with you. Though.
Yeah.
I would choose crawfish even though I don't eat it because the experience
Right.
that comes with that.
right.
Not that I don't love crawfish and crawfish boils and everything that goes with it, but, there's no such thing as gumbo season. It's always gumbo season.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. Especially with football. Football and gumbo go really well together.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Brady, you like gumbo because that's your excuse to spend like 11 hours alone and in the kitchen.
Can we just start the next question, please?
I don't want to get in the middle of this.
Okay. Our next question. Poolside or beachside?
Probably beachside. My wife and I just took a vacation out west in the mountains, and we're really kind of mountain people. And we're living here. There's no mountains, but anyway. but I think I'd rather be on a beach. We've been on some cruises and laid on a beach in like Cozumel and stuff like that. And I have a pool at my house, and I don't hardly ever use it. I probably should, but yeah, I would say beachside.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the sounds, the feeling, the escape.
Right.
The
the
all
waves
of those things.
hitting
Yeah.
the shore, all that. Yeah. The pool, you just have the pool pump running over by the house. So whatever.
The little Oscar
Yeah,
cleaning
there
it
you go.
up,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Okay. Third question. Concert or comedy show?
Oh, that one's hard. I'm not really a music person, even though on my show every night at Delta, we play music. We have a musical act of the night. We do things that no other racetrack does, okay? I brought that in when I came here years ago. We try to make it entertaining and fun. And I like music, but I don't listen to it as much as I probably should. So I'd probably say comedy show. I just think the escapism, I mean, you're going through your daily life, you're busy, you're, stressed out, you got kids, in my case, grandkids. And to listen to a comedy show for 30 minutes or an hour and totally forget that and just bust out laughing, and all your cares are gone. But music does that too. People sing along and get lost in memories of where they were in high school when they heard that song for the first time and things like that. So I can see either one, but I like to laugh.
Well, we appreciate you kind of sharing that and kind of understanding how you play here in
Yeah,
Louisiana's
yeah.
playground when you're here. Now, as far as what we're talking about today, horse racing, and in particular, just the Delta Downs experience, what do you feel like stands out most about Delta Downs? What do you guys pride yourself in the most?
Probably the fact that it's an intimate racetrack. And what I mean by that is it's only 6 furlongs. And if you're not into racing, you don't know that's 3/4 of a mile. That's a small racetrack. In North America, most tracks are a mile. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but most are around a mile in size. Ours is only 6 furlongs. What I really like about Delta is the fact that our track apron is banked. Okay, we're not flat. So the fans that stand there and that are in the grandstand, they're elevated a little bit. And when you have the smallish type track, the action is never far away. I have a friend over in Texas I met 2 years after I got here, big racing fan. He came over one night. In fact, he made $3,000 on my picks on a big race night, and that's why he met me. He called me and said, "Hey, come down here. I got to buy you a drink." I said, "Was this a stalker?" Or I don't know who this guy was. We've been friends ever since. But he says what he loves about it is he can go stand on that apron, make a bet, watch his horse run all the way around the track, not look at the TV, but he can see his horse. It's not so far away. And so I think the intimacy and the closeness to the action is like the main point about Delta Downs racing.
And I think it's a good point, too. You mentioned your picks. You post your picks every day.
Every day. Yeah, win, lose, or draw. I have a good day, a bad day, I'm out there.
And I've seen it before where you've said you take those picks seriously. You're not just mailing those picks in.
No, I sit at home. We race at night, so I go to work in the afternoon on a race day, and I'll spend 3, 4, 5 hours at home looking at races and handicapping. Handicapping meaning, figuring out the race, studying it. And then I'll put them online and people get to see them and, I win or I lose and, it is what it is. I pride myself on being a pretty good handicapper. I'm hitting over 30% winners right now this season at Delta, which is, really good. It's hard to hit. It's like a baseball player. You hit 300, you're going to make millions of dollars, right, in Major League Baseball. Well, if you're hitting 30% or above in picking horses, you're doing pretty good. So I pride myself on that.
I know nothing about horse racing, and the more you talk, the more I realize I need to learn. I need to do some studying on horse racing because I'm limited to it's an oval-shaped track and women wear hats to derbies. That's where my knowledge kind of
Very
ends.
basic knowledge. Yeah.
It does. So how often do you have racing at Delta Downs?
Well, we race about 130 days a year. Okay, out of the year, we have a quarter horse season in the summer, and we have a thoroughbred season in the fall, winter. Okay, we run more thoroughbreds than we do quarter horses. Nationally, they're more popular because we simulcast our signal. We don't just race at Delta. We put out a TV show, and it goes out via simulcast to tracks all over the country. And as of 10 or 12 years ago, all over the world because they stream online, and now they have online wagering, so people wager from all over. I've gotten emails from fans anywhere from Japan, South America, Peru, the Middle East. People watch England. I have a lot of big fans in England. Matter of fact, funny story, one guy emailed me one time and said, "You almost caused me to have a divorce." And I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Because I love racing at Delta Downs, but I have to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning to bet on it or to watch it. And my wife's like, 'You ever coming to bed?' So I'm like, 'Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause a problem.'" "Yeah, but I love Delta Downs. I love watching them playing."
And so Delta Downs is celebrating 50 years of horse racing?
Yeah, the track opened on September 20th, 1973. And it was originally opened by a guy and built by a guy named Lee Berwick. We still have a race named after him. In fact, a few years ago, it was $1 million race. It was the richest race in Louisiana. It was a quarter horse race. But he was a quarter horse guy, and he owned a track over by Mississippi on his property over there where it was just a straight track. Wasn't even an oval. It was just a drag strip because quarter horses, if you know, they run a quarter mile. That's why they're called that. And so they just run in a straight line. And he loved it so much that he came over here and got a group of investors together, and they bought 240 acres there in Vinton, where we're at now, and they built a racetrack. And they opened it September 20th, 1973. And it's been there ever since. But the Racing Commission wouldn't let him just run quarter horses. They said, if you open a real track, you have to run thoroughbreds. So he had to run mixed, and then eventually they split. Now they have 2 separate seasons. So that's how it started.
Little Michael, right? Am I saying that right? There's a lot of apostrophes in that name.
Little Michael won the first race back then. The trainer who won that race won 3 races on that program that night, amazingly. And believe it or not, he still races horses here 50 years later.
That's incredible.
Wow.
He's in his mid-70s to 80 years old now.
And I put Little Michael there just so I can make a really bad longest yard reference. I love Little Michael.
Little Michael. There you go.
Yeah, for those at home, that is LIT comma to the top L is how that's been spelled. Yeah. I like it.
And speaking of, I'd kind of touched on it, 50 years at Delta Downs, but 20 years of you here, correct?
Yeah,
20
I can't believe it. You're right. 20 years as of this month. Yeah, I've been here. And when I came here, I had a wife and I had 3 kids, little kids, one in elementary school, 2 in middle school. My wife's from Ohio. Okay, we were coming from Oklahoma, and we drove over the river from Texas. And I said, let's drive by the track, because before we got to our rental house or hotel, whatever, I wanted to show her where I was going to work, because I was coming from another track. And we pulled in here, and I told her, I said, I just have this weird feeling we're not going to live here more than about 5 years. We're going to move on. 20 years later, now I have a wife, my wife, my 2 kids are grown. Well, my 3 kids are grown, but 2 of them married here in Louisiana with grandchildren. And I guess we're here to stay. If you'll have us, if Louisiana will have us. We're
guess,
not originally Louisiana
I
people,
guess you've done enough, right?
Yeah, I've done enough.
You like the crawfish, so I guess we'll
like
let
the
you
crawfish,
stay.
yeah.
And so for the racetrack to kind of pull you in, uproot your, where you're from and plant new roots, there has to be a real passion there. I can tell that there's the passion just by the way you talk about horse racing.
Right.
What is it that draws you to the track each and every day?
Oh man, it's the competition. It's the trying to figure out the puzzle. There's a lot of different ways to gamble nowadays, especially with online sports wagering and all that kind of thing, lottery, whatever. But with horse racing, you get a program or you get past performances. You open it up. You see, if you're new like you and you looked at that, it would look like mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
It looked like I'm speaking Greek, right? Bunch of numbers, names, whatever, and you don't know what to make of it. Well, I grew up going to the races. I went to my first race in Seattle, Washington, or near there, at a track called Long Acres in 1977 when I was 13 years old. I'm dating myself now. But anyway, my mom took me to the track, and we didn't know what we were doing. My mom said, I like Blue Silks. Bet on the 5 horse. Okay, and we won. Okay, that's probably why I'm here today, because we're like, oh, this is easy. Okay, it's not easy, okay? And you can't just pick numbers and birth dates and things like that. You can, but if you want to get lucky. But opening the program and then deciphering all that and figuring out the puzzle, and then when you bet on a horse and it wins, or it does the race is going to unfold the way you think it's going to unfold, because there's many things that happen in a race. And you're right. It's just such a feeling of accomplishment because you figured out the puzzle, and you get rewarded because you get a cash or ticket, So it's the challenge, I guess, that keeps me around horse racing.
Something that I saw pretty interesting about you is that you kind of took that next step and you started on your YouTube channel interviewing the jockeys, interviewing the trainers before the big races, and kind of hearing their stories and what kind of brought them to Louisiana, which for you, being someone that wasn't from here too, I'm sure you guys kind of connected in that way. What nuggets have you gained through the years learning from trainers and jockeys in that manner?
Well, standing around on the backside, a lot of times I'll do that on a Tuesday because we race Wednesday through Saturday. So Tuesday's my day I go in and I work in my office, So I'll go in a couple hours in the morning, stand on the backside with the trainers and take pictures of the jockeys. And that's when I did the videos and all that kind of stuff. You learn a lot of things, but the one thing I took away, not a nugget about racing specifically, but how hard these people work. When you go to the track, like as a new person, if you went out there, you would see the post time, you see the post parade, they would race, you'd cash your ticket, whatever, and everybody goes home. These guys work and work and work. I mean, if you go out there sometime on a Tuesday or Wednesday at 6 to 10 a.m., you'll see 50 horses on the track, all going different directions. They're training. These are athletes. They have to work out, okay? They have to work their muscles. And the jockeys and trainers get up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're at the track at 5. The track opens at 6. You got to feed the horse. You got to call the vet. You have to have grooms have to do their work with the horses. You got to get them out on schedule. You may have 30 horses in your barn. Everyone has to get out at a certain time. You have to skip the break between 8:30 or 8 and 8:30 when the track closes to be renovated. There is so much to it behind the scenes that you don't see. That's the amazing part to me. And I always knew it was there. But once I started going to the backside and seeing this, I felt like, man, I need to put in a few more hours. I feel lazy, These people work hard.
That is something that I guess I've never thought about much. It's like watching a football game or baseball or anything. You see these athletes for the performance of it, and then you don't really think about what goes on.
Yeah, and then next week you just tune in and they're there and you just think, oh, they're doing it again.
Great. They work once a day, a week. But no, these people are putting in a ton of hours. This is their life.
Exactly.
So, question, went to Delta Downs and saw all the barns in the back, and there are a lot. Are they full at any given time? Do people stay there for extended periods? How does that work?
Each barn, there's 22 barns, and each barn holds 60 horses.
Wow.
So we got upwards of 1,300 horses on the grounds during a season. That's a lot of horse flesh, okay? And they also have little dorms back there because the grooms, some of them stay there during the season. They have a bed. We have showers and bathrooms and all kinds of stuff in the back. There's a backside kitchen where they eat. There's a whole community. It's like having a town back there, okay? It's mainly horses, but there's a lot of horsemen and grooms and jockeys and trainers and vets and horseshoers. That's another one. You want to look at my videos. I've done some videos on horseshoers. That's an amazing job. I couldn't do it and I break my back. They're hunched over all day long, nailing, shoes into horses' hooves, That's another big job. And the economic impact is amazing. I read somewhere a little while back that in Louisiana, horse racing has a $2 billion a year economic impact because there's 4 racetracks in the state. We're just one of them. So a lot of taxes, the people buying hay, the veterinarians, the horses, the trailers. There's a lot of ancillary businesses that goes on, and there's a lot of tax revenue made off of that.
And you mentioned people staying. There are people that come for the winters in a much less milder climate, and they'll stay months at a time here, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's interesting, I think, about Louisiana, because when I came here, this culture is like nothing I've ever experienced. I was born in Kansas. I lived in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Washington, where I went to my first race. My dad was with the government, so we moved a lot. It wasn't because we were being kicked out of town. So,
Sure.
And then I moved back to Oklahoma, lived there 20-some years, got married, had a child, and then eventually came here. Well, when I came here, like I said, my wife's from Ohio. She's a meat and potatoes girl. She's like, crawfish. What's that? Ugh, she's like you. She doesn't eat crawfish. I do. But, it's the culture. There's people here that have their horses, have been in horse racing their whole life, very Cajun, very, whatever. And I love their culture. Then you have these people coming in from all over the country bringing horses for just the meat. So you get the two together. It's so funny because you'll be back there on a Tuesday morning and there'll be a Cajun trainer over here that I need subtitles, to understand what he's saying. Then I got this guy from New York or California over here, and he's got his accent. I'm like, man, this is like quite a melting pot, so it's pretty interesting.
The gumbo that is Southwest Louisiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's get to the racing. Teach me something. What does a normal night of racing look like at Delta Downs?
Well, right now we're starting at 5:15 p.m. That's soon going to change, November 15th, I believe, to 5:05. We're going to bump up a little earlier because we try to stay away from broadcasting races at the same time other tracks race. So that we give the fans, it's all about the fans. That gives them more chance to watch more races and wager on them. So, right now, I'll give you an example. We start racing at 5:15, but at 4:45, 30 minutes before racing, I'll introduce a national anthem because it's a sporting event. We do that. We start our show and we run, an open. We're like a regular 4.5-hour TV show, live television show. We have bumps and we have intros and sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So we'll run that, and then I'll come on and go over the changes for the night, like if horses are scratched and whatever. I'll talk about the jockey and trainer standings, the weather, the track condition, all that. Then we'll get into racing, and I come on about 14 minutes before each race, and I give my handicapping picks and my selections, and I'll give you 4 horses that I think first, second, third, and fourth. So the novice fan can just, I'll play what he's playing, if they don't want to handicap and do all this stuff. And we do that right now about 9 times a night. And then the race goes on, and then we do it over, and we go back and forth until the end of the night, and that's a normal night of racing.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a blast.
It sounds like a good time.
I mean,
for
I'm
sure.
59 years old, and I don't want to tell anybody this, but if they didn't pay me, I'd still go to the race.
You'd still be there.
I'd still be
We
there.
won't tell them you said that.
Exactly.
But you said you have music and all that involved
yeah.
too, though. So it's a party while you're
Absolutely. Yeah, a few years ago when I first got here, internet and all that was still a little new. 2003, we were just, getting into all that. And I said, I want to contact the fans. So we made a email address called racefans@boydgaming.com. So when fans, we put that up every night. So if people want to contact me, they can. And sometimes they'll do it during the races, and then I'll talk about it on the show. So I immediately feed back to what people are saying. And then a few years later, I said, we play music between races. Some tracks do, some tracks don't. I like to because you have 20, 30 minutes between a race. I want to keep things popping, So we came up with a musical act of the night. And at the beginning of the night, we'll have like the Rolling Stones. Okay, so we feature them in races 1, 3, and 9, or 1, 5, and 9. So that those songs are coming up. And people say, oh, can I request this song? Okay, I take requests like a radio DJ, So we do a lot more than other racetracks. I pride ourselves on that because we go the extra mile to try to entertain everybody.
Yeah, keep it entertaining through
Right.
that whole, you said 4 hours, 4.5 hours?
Yeah, about 4 hours. Yeah, it's basically a live show for 4 hours.
You had talked about betting numerous times, and I think most people that are familiar with betting, at least in the horse spectrum, understand the win, place, and show.
Right.
But for people like Jillian here.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my head because I have no idea what that means. I mean, I understand winning. That I
Yeah.
understand.
Explain the horse betting basics for people.
Sure. Well, you mentioned win, place, show. That's very basic. You bet to win, the horse has to win. You bet to place, he has to come in first or second. He doesn't have to be second. First or second, you'll cash. Show means he has to be anywhere in the top 3. It doesn't matter where he finishes, as long as he's first, second, or third. Very basic. That's called a straight wager. The other wagers are called exotic wagers, and they can be vertical or horizontal. Okay, a vertical wager is an exacta, a trifecta, or a superfecta. And all that means is you're going to pick the first 2 horses in order, like the 1 and the 8. Okay, then they would have to come in 1 first and 8 second. That would be an exacta because it's in exact order. Okay, a trifecta, same thing. Top 3 in order, superfecta, top 4 in order. The harder it gets, obviously it's harder to pick 4 in order than it is 2. It's going to pay more. Okay, and based on the odds, even more. Now, a horizontal wager is like a daily double, pick 3, pick 4, pick 5. That just means you're going to pick the winner of 2 races, 3 races, 4 races, or 5 races in a row. Real hard to pick 5 winners in a row. Horse racing is difficult anyway to pick 1, let alone 5. But when you do it, you get paid well. Like that's a 50-cent wager, and a few weeks back we had one pay like $30,000 for a 50-cent bet.
Wow.
So it's hard to do, but when you do it, you're collecting big money.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the track, it's worth the $4 to bet on all 8 races at 50 cents.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it costs you $4 for a chance to win $30,000.
You can do it cheaper than that. We have a 10-cent bet. The superfecta is a 10-cent minimum bet. So all you have to do is, if you like them 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, for 10 cents you can bet them one, and you got something to root for. You have to have 4 horses in order in a superfecta, but even if you box them, the word box just means betting every combination. Okay, So if you box 4 horses in a 10-cent super, that's $2.40. You hardly buy a lottery. A Powerball is $2. Okay, and if you hit that, boom, you got a big payout, maybe thousands of dollars. So there's lots of ways to play, and if you don't want to study and go into all the handicapping, you can just pick numbers.
Yeah. Be a casual fan.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to start listening to you.
Bet your birthday.
Okay,
whatever your
that'll
birthday
work.
number is, whatever that is.
The only time I've ever looked at horse racing is just and bet was on the their
Kentucky
clever
Derby.
names.
Oh, yeah, I thought you would say the
know?
Kentucky Derby because most casual fans say that's all they know. Is the Kentucky.
Yeah, well, based on their really clever names.
Horses do have funny names. We had one run the other night. His name was Wah Wah Wee Wah. So that's the name of the horse.
Like Borat.
Yeah.
I like
Oh,
it.
yeah, well,
Yeah, Wah Wah Wee.
that's amazing. Now, what do you recommend for someone that wants to come to the track? They've very little experience when it comes to horse racing. How do you best maximize your day and the time of the track? How to best enjoy a night at Delta Downs?
Well, first of all, I would allot a certain amount of money that you want to play with. Okay, if you want to lose more than $20, take $20. Bet $2 a race. You can have a blast with $2. We just explained that you can make a 10-cent bet. Go to the program stand. Get yourself a program. You have to know the names and the numbers of the horses. Okay, you can't bet on them without that. So get your program. And by the way, on Wednesdays you get a free program with your Boyd Rewards card. And that's absolutely free. So on Wednesdays you don't even have to pay for a program. All right. So you come out, you get that, you go to the program stand. If you have questions, you don't know where to go, what to do, ask the staff at the program stand and the mutuals window. They are tremendous at Delta Downs. I get comments on this all the time. They're like, we didn't know what we're doing, and we came there and asked them this and that. They showed us all night long what to do, and we had a wonderful time, and we're coming back. Okay, so ask questions. Don't be shy. Then figure out where you want to go. We've got the grandstand. We've got the track apron. We've got the paddock. We've got the OTB. Figure out where you want to watch the races or move around throughout the night. People go to the paddock, and they watch the horses saddle up for the evening. You're right there in front of them. You see them walk right by you. Maybe you like the gray horse because he's got a twinkle in his eye. Who knows, So you do that. Then you go make yourself a bet on every race. Get yourself a nice drink. There's 2 bars in the OTB. Got the food court. Of course, we got restaurants. We'll talk about that in a minute. Get yourself some good food and sit back and watch it. Watch me on TV. And hopefully I have one of those nights like my friend when he won $3,000 and you go home with a boatload of cash. But even if you don't, you'll have a lot of fun.
That sounds great. We went to Delta Downs, we visited, and what was really cool, I think, about entering like the main doors in the front was like the open aspect of it. Like you've got your casino, you've got the restaurants off to the left, and you can see straight out the back doors, and you can see Delta Downs written along the track. And I think that is just really neat experience just walking in. And like you said, it's a more intimate feel. It's smaller. But it's so neat in that way. It's so unique.
You're part of all the action.
Yeah.
Like you said, you walk in and you see almost everything we have to offer in one shot. and to the left was the hotel. You didn't even mention that. To the hotel.
No, I didn't even mention the hotel. Yeah, right down the corridor, you've got the hotel,
Exactly.
you've got the restaurants, the casino.
Well, in the
everything.
Rosewater, we talk about restaurants, not to get ahead of ourselves, but the restaurant there is so nice because it's right on track level. Did you guys go in there? Have you been in there, the Rosewater?
No, the Rosewater was closed when we went
Yeah.
by, but we ate at the Tin Lizard, which was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, exactly. But the Rosewater is at track level, and it's right by the track. It's probably 50 feet from the rail. And if you get a booth right by the window there, you can watch them run right by while you're having your juicy steak and baked potato. It's incredible.
What other experiences does Delta Downs offer outside of just the track?
Well, you got the track, you have the casino with over 1,500 slot machines. And by the way, we are revamping it. And that's one thing I love about Boyd Gaming that I work for. They don't take their casinos, open them, and let them sit there 20 years and the carpet get old and blah, blah, blah. They revamp them. They make it so you have fun, you come back, and then all of a sudden the place changes. Oh, I got new machines. There's new carpet, new atmosphere, new this. So it's totally revamped. It's beautiful. You've got the sportsbook. We've got FanDuel Sportsbook there now. Okay, that opened about a year and a half ago. So the sports fans come. They bet NFL football. Their partner, their friend may go out and play the slots, or they go get something to eat while they're watching the game. You got races coming on that night. We just simulcast the Breeders' Cup. That's the World Championships of horse racing. I was out at Santa Anita. We did that last week. You've got the hotel. When you're in the hotel, you've got the aquatic center. You've got the pool. There's so many things to do there. It's a one-stop shop for entertainment. You can spend a weekend, a night, or an evening there, and the event center with concerts and stuff. And I don't see how you can't be entertained. It's absolutely an incredible facility. And it's funny because when I first came here, and I interviewed for the job, and it was different back in 2003, of course. We didn't have all this stuff, didn't have the hotel and all these things. Driving through the country, I turned north going out of Vinton off the highway, and where in the world am I? I'm out in the country. There's nothing here. And then all of a sudden, you see this racetrack. And what's cool is I drive home at night. I'll go down and get on the highway to come home toward Lake Charles here, and the lights are still on the track because I haven't turned them off yet, And from I-10, you can see this glowing thing in the sky, and you're like, there's something going on over there. There's an event going on. So it's really cool.
It is, and the grounds are beautiful too. As we were pulling up when we visited, just the grounds, you've got the white fencing all around it. It's set back off the road. I really love that. I was telling Brady as we went past that sometimes big buildings like this, events centers and things like that, can be kind of obtrusive in a way, but there's like houses just down the block from Delta Downs, and it's really nice. It's just a beautiful thing
This
to look
one's
at.
like, it's nestled in the woods, I would say. And then across the street, you'll notice a house. You mentioned houses close by. The guy who opened the track and built it, Lee Berwick, lived across the street, and he would walk to work. So he was right there. It's not even a quarter mile. He walked right to work, and he had horses and the fences you mentioned and all that.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there, and it's really unassuming as you're traveling those back highways. You would not think that you're about to come up on that. It's great.
It's a pleasant surprise.
No, we enjoyed our time there as we ate and kind of took in the atmosphere, and I'm sure anyone that's going will do the same, especially like we talked about, if you're really into what goes on at the track, and even if you're not, give it a try. I'm sure there's tons of people, like you said, that message you all the time that kind of let you know just that.
Well, and the funny thing is, I meet people all the time here in Lake Charles and Southwest Louisiana. And, what do you do? I'm the track announcer. Oh, really? Delta Downs? Yeah, I haven't been there in forever. And I'm like, come on. It's not like it used to be. It's so much more. I went there when I was a kid in the 90s or something. Nothing like that. This is a total entertainment center now. Not just a racetrack, not just a casino, hotel, restaurant, sports bar, entertainments, concert. We've got it all.
Got everything.
And it's kind of the welcome mat to Louisiana, especially if you're coming eastbound from Texas and further west. It's kind of that welcome mat to Louisiana as well.
It's the gateway. There you go.
That's what they call it, the gateway.
Yeah.
That's what the sign said.
Yep.
Hey, that's what the sign says, the
Yep.
gateway to Cajun country.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking about Delta Downs and promoting what is another amazing asset here in Southwest Louisiana.
Yeah, and I think it's underappreciated. Like I say, if people would just come out there once, they would come back again and again. But they just need to make the one trip out in the country, and you'll see what we have to offer.
Thanks again to Don for joining us here on the show, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us here on the podcast. If you enjoyed the show and our new host, please follow the podcast, leave us a rating or a review.
It will help us grow our audience and further share our unique experiences that Southwest Louisiana and Lake Charles has to offer. Just go to visitlakecharles.org/podcast for more episodes, where to eat, and events happening this weekend. I'm Jillian Corder.
And I'm Brady Reynard. Thanks again for coming play at Louisiana's Playground. Say it to you.